Welcome to the RASCANU Show. Our guest today is Mr. John Lusink, who is our most senior leader here at Home Realty, where I am a real estate agent working across commercial and residential. Mr. Lusink, let's start with your journey to becoming the president of Home Realty.
Thank you, Alex, and thanks for having me on. You're asking me to date myself. The journey started 36 years ago as an office leasing agent with what was then known as Royal LePage Commercial. Today is Cushman and Wakefield. So that's actually where I started and progressed through to CBRE and then had a stint in the development community working on an office project at Highway 7 and 404. So, that first chunk of my real estate life was actually commercial, and then it pivoted to residential as a branch manager for Royal LePage. So
Mm-hmm.
and Royal LePage and Remax. So and ownership, actually co-ownership of a Royal LePage franchise. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been all things real estate, and a good chunk of it also in brokerage management. So
Mm-hmm.
so how did I arrive at Right at Home? Well, 5 years ago, I was contemplating um, sort of the next phase of my real estate life when I was contacted by one of the founders, as Right at Home was looking for someone to head up the organization. And if I'm being very honest, initially, I think I said, I'm fine. I'm not really looking for a big job.
Which is the
And
right way to negotiate.
Well, I would, I'd be lying if I said that was the strategy, but you're quite correct. Yes, it is the right way to negotiate. So when they came back, I said, well, let me meet the people behind the scenes, because like most agents in the GTA especially, I thought I had an idea of who and what Right at Home was, and I knew two of the founders, but I honestly really didn't have a clue until I met some of the shareholders and board of directors and realized this is one very well organized and thought out business. And so
Mm-hmm.
I was privileged and quite pleased to join 5 years ago. And as we're now looking to the future, and lots of stuff we could talk about, but that was
Mm-hmm.
my journey to Right at Home.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing your journey. It's definitely very interesting and inspiring to see the trajectory that you've been on, and I'm glad to have you as the president of our brokerage.
Okay.
There's one um, initiative that you were involved with recently where you dipped your toes into elected office within the real estate
Mhm.
community, and you um, were inspired to run for the Real Estate Council of Ontario's Board of Directors, and you were elected with the highest number of votes across the province. What has been your experience so far serving on the RECO board? And what was the initial impetus that really drove you to take on such a role?
Yeah, it's actually timely that you asked that question. So two things. First of all, my experience so far in a short period of time, as it's only been really a few months, has been that it's also a very well run organization, with some really excellent people behind the scenes, but also one that is really not well known.
Mm-hmm.
I think, most of the 116,000 realtors in Ontario would be hard pressed to really be able to explain who and what RECO is, and what all are they really doing for us, right? That's always a question I hear. So as to why I chose to run, I've had the privilege of being on the Toronto Real Estate Board as a director, as well as with OREA, the Ontario Real Estate Association. I decided to get involved with RECO because when the Auditor General's report came out, it
Yep.
did not paint um, a great picture actually of what RECO was or was supposed to be doing. And I thought, if there ever was a time to put some of my years to work, now would be it. And certainly representing about 6,000 agents, well, plus the 250 at property.ca as well. I thought, I owe it to them to get involved and at least let our opinions be known. So that's really what pushed me to get involved.
That's great. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you stepped into that. Generally, when an auditor general's office does an in-depth report on a specific matter, it's because it needs attention,
Yes.
and I'm glad that you're involved with some of the advisory and decision making that's involved in seizing the opportunities that are available for RECO.
Right.
Um, Now, when we're thinking about Right at Home itself, the brokerage, which you've been involved with for the last 5 years, it really plays across residential and commercial. It continues to grow across Ontario. There's more and more offices being added. There's Toronto, and then there's Vaughan and Burlington, Richmond Hill, Ottawa. We keep on increasing the number of offices out of which Right at Home realtors operate. The number of realtors has ballooned. We're, about 6,000 agents right now, as you mentioned. So it's really a force to be reckoned with when it comes to opportunities for collaboration across the brokerage and geographically across the province. From your point of view, what makes Right at Home different from other brokerages in Ontario? Why would someone who is looking to buy or sell in residential or commercial real estate consider choosing a Right at Home realtor?
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at things, from the consumer point of view. So I actually appreciate that question. One of the not one of actually the key foundational approach of Right at Home from its inception was to provide the entire commission that an agent earns to them. So they get to earn and keep the 100% and pay a nominal transaction fee. And the reason I mention this is what we've always believed in and continue to embed as our key philosophy is that it's your business, i.e. the agent. And we want you to have the ultimate flexibility and in how you run it, and how you work for your client. So you know it's true. Excuse me. It's true that agents that join us, um, from other brands that are more traditional, see an immediate, I'll call it an immediate pay increase. But what that allows them to do, and this is what we hope they consider, is invest in themselves, invest in their business for the betterment of the consumer. And so, for us, it's all about giving them the tools and the ability to build a business, with particular focus on serving that consumer to the best of their abilities. So
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's always been the mantra behind how we approach things. And
Mm-hmm.
the fact that we're at 6,000, some might say, well, that's an awfully large number of realtors, and it's too big, or it's this or that. But that scale is what allows us to keep costs low
Mm-hmm.
and allows our realtors in turn to be able to go out and really truly invest in their business and be entrepreneurial. We don't want them worrying about paying a franchise fee to this and to that, and we want them to really think about how to build and grow. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really sort of the foundational thinking behind that. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much. Now, if we are um, putting ourselves in the shoes of someone who is interested in making a commercial real estate transaction in the Toronto area. Let's say someone is looking to either purchase an office, maybe it may be a commercial office location in downtown Core. They might be looking at purchasing some warehouse space for distribution somewhere in Etobicoke. They might be looking at leasing some space in Yorkville, or in the Yorkville Village, or they might be looking to make some sort of a commercial transaction in the Toronto area or Toronto proper itself. What is your sense of the market conditions right now with regards to pursuing a buy side opportunity in the commercial space in the Toronto area?
Yeah, it's I think if first of all, I would say in this market, cash is king. And so, those commercial clients that are in that position, I think have excellent opportunity to, seek out commercial deals. I mean, we're often in the market, as you say, because we either have a lease coming up or we're opening, or there's always something going on, it seems, just within our own little mini portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to see some movement in the lease rates, and
Mm-hmm.
some opportunity actually to, save money on the type of expense that is typically one of the bigger ones in our P&L.
Mm-hmm.
On an investment, from an investment point of view, there's some wonderful opportunities out there, and again, I think one of the advantages, when you aren't, a realtor, a commercial realtor with one of the big shops, is you have the flexibility more
Mm-hmm.
so than they do to, get involved in many deals that I would say sit below a certain threshold.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can remember being at those, large shops, and just never considered or looked at certain transactions below a certain value, and that was sort of left up to the local realtor in that market. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? It's a great opportunity. There's
And
lots there.
that's right. And is that person who's setting up their 3 to 5 year lease for that office space now, who's actually going to be buying
Sure.
that building 5 to 10 years down the road if they're
Exactly.
successful, right? So
Exactly.
it's that
Yeah.
relationship can be gold at the end of
Yes.
the day.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's much more. I mean, I always, in every residential branch I ever managed, there was always one or two agents who were as good as it got, in terms of being 100% commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, in Bloor West Village, there was one agent made an absolute wonderful business out of selling, those two-story retail buildings along Bloor West, and some of them would be purchased by dentists, others by
Mm-hmm.
other specialties, and he took home a very nice paycheck,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
had a wonderful business. Just
Mm-hmm.
so that's the kind of thing where you might not see someone from the big shop
Yep.
spending too much time, because they're on a very different split. They're on a very different structure, and so again, it leaves a lot open for you
Mm-hmm.
and all of our colleagues in Right at Home.
Yeah, provides flexibility. So you're not
Exactly.
stuck in a specific type of asset that you have
Exactly.
to really dive into. You're almost
Yes.
allocate the geographic area that you need to target, and
Correct.
off you go. Yes, you can have the kind of resources that maybe someone who's in a smaller shop commercially has access to currently, but the goal is to scale to the point where those tools are available,
Exactly.
so that's great. I appreciate your experience on the commercial side. If you were to have $5 to $10 million of play money right now, and you could make an investment decision in the real estate space in Toronto, whether it's residential or commercial, what would be one asset that you would be pursuing, whether it's personally or for right at home as a long-term hold? Is there a specific type of asset, whether residential or commercial, that you would be diving these funds into that you think is really worth paying attention to?
Yeah. Alex, it might be easier to say which one I wouldn't. Um, and that's, given my background, I hate to say it, but more than likely office space.
Mm,
Um, that said, yeah, that too will work itself out in time.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Um, I've always, when it comes to the commercial real estate side, always had a keen interest in what I would call clean, light, multi-industrial. Um,
mm,
and in particular, where there's some flexibility with zoning. So, for example, we've got a couple of offices of a couple of right at home branches that actually are in that kind of space. That
mm-hmm.
so that there's flexibility, and it gives us wonderful exposure, but yet it's not at office rents or retail rents.
Yes.
The other one, and I will admit to being confused about the incredible strength in the retail market, which, continues to perplex me because, I'm just amazed that COVID and now, of course, the general, well, the increase in interest rates and the way things are going in the economy, I'm amazed that the retail side continues to be as strong as it is,
Mm-hmm,
for the most part.
mm-hmm.
So I like the multi-clean industrial, and but we'll see where it goes. That's where I think I would.
Very
I
interesting.
don't. I wouldn't put all my money there, but
You would diversify it across
I'd
those couple of
diversify.
different assets that you were
Yes.
mentioning, office and
Yeah.
light industrial. That's great. Now, if someone listening to this conversation would like to reach out to you, it
Mm,
may be a realtor looking to join a new brokerage. It may be
sure.
someone who wants to partner up with Right at Home on a new initiative. How can they get in touch with you?
Well, you can always find me on LinkedIn. If you're trying to find me, you can always, call me at the office. Um, my direct line's 416-391-8887, or send me an email, johnl@rightathomerealty.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, John Lusink. I really appreciate you making the time. You have a busy schedule as the president of Right at Home Realty, but you took the time to be with us today. I very much
My
enjoyed our time
pleasure.
together.
It's my pleasure, and best of luck to you. And thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.